Hey there and welcome. My gosh, we have another great one here for you today. Let me share my screen. Hang on one second. There we go. Well, welcome. Today we have a very, very special one. This is how to supercharge your job search. Let me start by saying that a lot of people really misunderstand what an effective job search really is. I meet so many job seekers, in all the various places that I speak and present that really believe that effective job search is sitting on the internet looking at job postings, looking for that special one. And the reason why this is not an effective job search, it may lead you to your next job after some sort of very lengthy delay. But this is not very effective because about half of all job postings you see are not real in the first place. And that comes out of how the whole system works, of how those advertising spots are sold up to 1 year in advance. You sign those contracts, those are use them or lose them in 12 months. No idea 6 months or up to a year ago what they might be hiring. And yet the only way you ever get a good deal is to how many could I use? So today we're going to show you how you do many other things than sit on the internet looking for job postings that actually constitute a truly effective job search. And that's going to supercharge your activity and everything that goes along with it. It's a sales process. We can't get away from it. Actually, it's worse than that. It's a sales process mixed with a dating process. The two things that we probably really wish weren't there. In case you haven't seen me before, John Crant, author, career coach, and speaker, resume and LinkedIn branding guru as well. If your career brand is not getting the spotlight or the staging it deserves, I think you know who you should work with. Over on my self-recruiter site, lots of packages under the services tab. And if you need to talk before you know which one may be right for you, send me a quick email. We'll set up a time to chat. A few other resources besides today's lecture that'll help you. Of course, my book is a great resource, usually available or on hold or due back at the public library, over on Amazon as well. Of course, my self-recruiter website as well too. Over on my homepage, selfrecruiter.com, halfway down the page, there's a very special version of my LinkedIn lecture where you can see me large, the slides large, really use it as an effective start and stop tutorial while you build out a much better career brand on your LinkedIn. That will help you a lot. Please take a look at that. And don't forget, over on my LinkedIn, there's a number of articles. Just click on my articles that will help you in all aspects of your job search. Now, in terms of what job search really is or what could lead us to our next opportunity, all these things here have the potential to lead us. And yet, are we paying attention? Are we looking down each of these pathways? Let me get a little drink. If we're not looking down pathway number 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever number it may be, what if that's where your future dream job is? It's waiting for you, and yet that pathway looks a little bit too much effort. It looks like something I won't enjoy doing. I'll just sit looking at job postings, half of which aren't real. This leads us to an unhappy conclusion, a pretty unhappy place where it's the woulda, coulda, shoulda. I send my resume to all these places that I'm perfect for. They never respond. Again, leaves us back in this arena. Don't let somebody else think for yourself. Even though I'm giving you a lot of directions, you're going to have to put down that smart device or tablet or laptop, whatever it may be, get out of the back seat and get behind the wheel, or you're not likely to get to your destination that you're dreaming about. Guiding principle to keep you on track may seem pretty simple. Is this the most effective use of my time at this moment? Well, if I backed up about 10, 12 years, I'm just starting what I do now, and I've got my book, fantastic, all by its lonesome over there. I've got to get it in some people's hands type thing. But I didn't have quotes yet in the media. I'm like, oh, how can I be taken seriously? I don't have quotes in the media. Well, I am an expert. That doesn't change that. But how could I get these quotes in the media? Well, I came up with a plan, not so unlike a job search plan, by the way. I went to Google. I clicked the news tab. I started to put in terms of job search, resume, challenges in that field. And you know what I got? I got all sorts of articles from all across the country attached to journalists that write exactly about job search in my field. Now I have a target list of 50 journalists that I can send out a press release introducing myself to one at a time. So I found myself sitting on my home office couch way back then, really hating what I was doing. I'm like, Is this the most effective use of my time at this moment? Sending these things out one at a time. I can't send 50 of them CC'd. I guess somebody else will write about that guy. One at a time, introduction. And I won that argument. I definitely was not happy with what I was doing, but I had intellectually decided it was worth the investment of time. You have to make choices like that in your job search. I put my nose right back down to the grind. So send them out, do it, John. 2 hours later, got a call from the Wall Street Journal. It was a very effective use of my time. You get the Wall Street Journal first, the other ones come very, very quickly. So every time you're feeling a little bit off track, a little bit of, I'm kind of lost inside of a tornado. By the way, in job search, get to love that type of feeling. That type of feeling, we have so many things you're juggling. It's almost like you're inside of a tornado and something is about to spin out and you're going to lose it. Something very, very important. That's when you have the right level of activity. Use this to keep yourself focused. Which item I'm working on can get me to the next stage or the finish line quickest. Let's be efficient in what we do. Now, all that laundry list of items, we have to distill it down to these, few basic 5-6 categories. Searching for jobs, sending out resumes. I have to network, or I'm never really going to get that dream job, very likely. I have to follow up, because if I send out those resumes, I hope that wasn't just a one-way investment of time. You thought it was worth your time. Let's follow up. It was worth your time. Have to strategize for your interviews itself. So every interview is a chance to get even stronger. Do check out my interview intervention lecture. It's a great one. And of course, we have to begin to market ourselves to decision makers. By the way, if that's a scary one for you, I certainly have several lectures out there about the paradigm shift in job search, marketing yourself directly to decision makers. So check out that lecture as well. End of every week and end of every day, we have to review those goals. We have to really figure out where we are. We have to measure it so that we can mentor ourselves to get to the next step or the first step, if that's our case. And repeat. That's our process. Now, structuring and building our job search plan of action, this is how we organize and manage it. If it is to be effective, I recommend we reverse what most people do. Instead of looking on the internet, staring at job postings, why don't you come up with a list of organizations, profit or nonprofit, doesn't really matter. They're all the same. They're a business. And the cash register has to ring, whether they call that cash register the cash register, or they call it development, or whatever else they might be doing. But yes, it's still a business. So make a list of these organizations. The number, by the way, is 30. You want an easy job search. You want a job search that produces opportunity for you, choice for you. One of my clients last week was saying that I think I got myself in trouble. Too much outreach. So much outreach, they're now juggling interviews and right to the altar. That's the final step in job search. Step up to the altar. They're going to want to extend me an offer. Suddenly 3 different offers coming all simultaneously, ending in a 2-person bidding war and a substantially different comp package than when they first began. If you only build up enough activity to get a singular offer, that's your opportunity. Take it or risk until the next one comes along. Why don't we get enough things going so we get multiple people to the altar at the same time who would like to hire us, who could benefit from our background? So I'm going to put together these 30 companies. I would like them to be statistically perfect to hire you. I'll show you how to make that list. But even more important than that, you have to want to work there. The 30 brands you are dying to work for. And by the way, you dying to work there cannot be because you saw some open job. That's about you. We started today talking about the fact that this is a dating process mixed with the sales process. Therefore, it cannot be about you. It has to be about them. So why do you want to work there? I know 30, by the way, is a tough number. But I bet you everybody listening today can come up with 10. 10 companies you're dying to work for, profit, nonprofit, doesn't really matter. Okay. Then why don't you take those 10? Let's go use a simple free financial tool, Yahoo Finance, or there's Hoovers.com or so many others out there. Just go grab a free financial tool, pop those companies into the financial tool to get a profile of that company. By the way, the synopsis in those financial tools tends to be better than on their own website. And also left or right, depending on which tool we're looking at, tends to be their top 3 competitors listed right there. Okay, so take these 10 and put them in the tool. Now multiply that time their top 3, and you probably have 40 companies. Cross out a few duplicates, cross out a few you don't like. I bet you come up with 30 companies pretty quickly. Whatever your reasoning that applied to the 10 probably applied to the other 20 to mix together to make this list of 30. Now what we're going to do is go into LinkedIn. I do a deep dive on how to do this in the LinkedIn lecture, building your professional brand with LinkedIn, and how to use that for your job search. So if you need more than I'll teach you today, check out that lecture. But we're going to select these 25 to 30 individuals really from this perspective. I either see or imagine where my job is going to be. You've worked for organizations like this before. You know how they're structured. So I go into LinkedIn, I reverse search the organization, I begin to build the company's organizational structure backwards all around my job. Up the food chain, don't be shy, up, down, all the way down to admin level, very strategic reasoning, left and right into a surrounding department or two. Really, these 25 or 30 individuals are very likely the people you will interface with every single day in your work life. This is how you begin to warm up the audience behind the firewall of the company. Simply by opening their profiles and looking at them on LinkedIn triggers a marketing event, which I talk all about in my Building Your Professional Brand with LinkedIn lecture. Do watch that. It'll help you. So the 25 to 30 individuals, I simply open their profiles, triggering the first stage of marketing event. That's taking a fish hook, putting a little worm on it, tossing it out into the pond, and be brave enough, Joe, I gotta wait for that to wiggle around until someone clicks on it. Then they open up your sales brochure, your profile. That's the real point here. Lure them into looking at you. Oh, who's this person? Click. That's who I am. Don't you need someone for your team just like me? I think you do. The dots will connect in their head very quickly. Don't tell them. Let them have the epiphany. Second hook, second worm, is while you have all those profiles open, just simply ask them to connect. Basic message you write one time ever says, you don't know me. I'm professionally appropriate. Here's a little stroke to your ego. Include it. I like to connect with other professionals in our niche or niche, depending how we like to say that. And of course, I'd love to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. You don't know me, professionally appropriate, a little stroke to the ego. Out of the 25 to 30, you probably get 10, 12 acceptances very quickly. Oh, I know you want them all. That's not really what it's about. It's about luring them in, giving them a second opportunity to click on your name and read about you. You know, when we read about something ourselves, there's no evaluation process about do we believe or not believe. Anything we read, and please do not misuse this, we tend to believe as the truth. So all you have to do is tell a great story that is letter true about your background, then lure them onto reading about you, and they're already sold about what you can do for the team if you construct the right LinkedIn profile. If you need help, gosh, I know where you can get some really great help there. So I asked them to connect. Now, key, this is a sales process. There's no waiting for any answer. The answer is irrelevant. I don't really care. Well, I might like them, but I don't really care. Now you look back at the 25 to 30 people, and out of those, with your own gut feeling, you go, well, who do I think, because your opinion is all that actually matters. Who do I think are the 3, 4, or 5 people likely to be involved in the conversation for a person like myself? And to each one of those, and I've already asked to connect. I didn't wait for the answer. And now to each one of those, they get a direct email, not LinkedIn message, a direct email right into their own email. Not brain surgery to get any human being's email. That is 99% of the people in 2 or 3 minutes. Let the 1% go that you can't get. Move on. Go with the 99%. That's pretty good odds. Direct email out to these individuals as if they're the only person in the world. Dear Jack, dear Jim, dear Jill. By first name, absolutely. We'll go into that. So we're going to email these decision makers with the purpose of booking a meeting. Let's get to those folks. By the way, I had a different client about 4 weeks ago, that reached out, part of their job search process. They saw a wonderful opportunity, and this is in finance, by the way, and they reached directly out to the CEO of a $2 billion organization. Now, most times you go, really? The CEO of a $2 billion organization has time to respond? They do if it's compelling. And you know what? They found the outreach message and letter so compelling. They couldn't even put their finger on it. It's like, I don't know what it is, but there's something here that I just had to respond to. I'm like, thank you very much. A little bit of polish on that message, a little bit of humanity, bring in the feeling of talking to a dear old friend. Never lose sight that it's a date, and it's a selling opportunity to persuade them about why their life can be easier if they speak to you. This CEO responded back with their cell phone number, and 4 days the following week, I want to speak to you. You can change your future too, but it's a sales process, and we have to not shy away from that part of it. Sales process, by the way, is also where people tell you, no, how'd you get my number? Take me off your list. Never call me again. I hate you people. Happens. If you make enough calls or you make enough outreach, it's bound to happen. Everybody else is doing all sorts of applying as well, usually submitting, submit, leaves us back in this kind of unhappy place. Let's change all that. Let's become this self-recruiter, this one great recruiter that really manages and oversees one great individual and their career. That's yourself. That means you're going to take control of your networking in a different way. That's really the LinkedIn side. So be sure to watch the Building Your Professional Brand with LinkedIn and how to use it for your job search, but also keeping one eye on the toughest competitor imaginable. First off, those people are very easy to beat. But if you stick your head in the sand and pretend they don't exist, they'll beat you every time. They're sparkly, they're shiny, they're distracting. But a little bit of planning and forethought, you can beat them very easily almost every time. This involves problem solving. Why don't you think back to the most intensive project you've ever worked on in your work life? How much stress, focus, energy went into that? How much lost sleep went into that? Same level of intensity has to go into your job search. Your job search is the most important process you've ever worked on, and it's a sales process. So let's get back to the basics. 30 companies, statistically perfect to hire you. If you do this part, beyond just the I love these brands, boy, really is a game changer. Now, if you've ever worked with a recruiter, and when I would speak in front of live audiences, of course, live audiences are here today, but we're over streaming. When I'd be in the same room as the live audience, you know, I'd ask people, oh, has anyone worked with a recruiter? Anyone had success with a recruiter? And, you know, it could be a room of 65 or 80 people and 3 or 4 hands go up and they're usually not, they're like begrudgingly, I'm like, I did it. I worked with a recruiter. By the way, recruiters can help us. Typically only if we're cookie cutter perfect for the roles. You know, when a company chooses to work with a recruiter, what they normally might hire, I'd hire this. This is what I'd hire today. Recruiter comes and wants to work on that with me. I'm like, okay, Jack, Jim, Jill, but I'm going to pay you a fee. I'm not accepting this. I want this. And they ratchet it up to the level of unicorn. You go find me a unicorn and I'll hire that unicorn. If you've had a bad experience, that's why. They're going through enormous numbers of candidates looking for the unicorn. Now, if they thought you were the unicorn and they said, oh my gosh, Jack, Jim, or Jill, you have a fantastic background. I'd love to work with you. And if they meant it. So apologies for 3.5 years training recruiters. I'm a very effective trainer. And they mean those words when they mean them. And when they don't, it's strictly distraction technique. But when they do mean them and they're excited about you, when they hang up the phone or you leave that office, what they're going to do is they're going to go into their own database. Now, you have your own database. It's called LinkedIn. They're going to go into their recruiter database. They're going to use a technique to build a list of 30 statistically perfect companies. The only unknown, and it's a big one, is do they have an opening? Now, the good recruiter will build this list, and then they do not bother to look at that company's website or any of those companies' websites. They do not bother to look at the job boards for those things. They simply pick up the phone and call 30 managers at 30 companies. Every single time, 2, 3, or 4 out of the 30 go, I need a person just like this. Oh, you do? Tell me about your problem. Tell me what you need. Tell me what's going on with your challenges. What we don't tell them is the homework, the magic trick, how we pulled it together. Oh, I put a list together. I knew that you'd want me if there was an opening. We leave that part out. By the way, 2, 3, or 4 out of 30 is certainly worth your investment of time. Hate to present you with just a basic sales funnel. Gosh, I'm hoping you've seen something like this through the course of your career so far. But the amount of effort and energy and activity that goes in the top determines about what distills down to some actual recoverable piece that you desire. What can drip out of the bottom like little drops of perfume or whatever it might be that might be distilled down there. You realize this sales funnel, if we're going to get it places, we're going to have to stack it quite full. If you would like multiple offers potentially, you need to be juggling 10 open jobs at the same time. That's 10 open jobs that I'm juggling and trying to do outreach for, trying to break through, maybe even getting my first phone screen. Then I'm going my first interview. A panel interview is coming up, but I have to keep juggling the 10 open opportunities with a goal of generating one brand new, fresh initial interview every single week. That's a very tough goal, by the way. But if you get on an activity level to generate that, you're going to head toward multiple offers in almost every case, or something may be going wrong in the interview itself. Check out my interview intervention, maybe even before your next interview. So to recap the job search plan itself, we're going to select the companies or organizations that we want to go after. We're going to stack rank them in a way that makes most financial sense to us. Who would I like to work at? Who could I benefit from most? Might as well invest your time wisely. Devise the steps needed. Oh, I mean, come on. What John's saying is not possible. Come on. But if it was, how can I align the sun, the moon, the stars working backwards to devise the steps needed? Think like a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes, a little bit of a detective. Discover the decision makers. Well, we'll show you how to do that right here. Also, a deep dive into discovering decision makers is in my LinkedIn lecture, Building Your Professional Brand with LinkedIn and How to Use It for Your Job Search. Make sure to watch that one. Decision makers' job is to object to you. That's how they figure out whether you're any good. They object to you, and then they evaluate how you overcome that objection. Oh, I like the way you put your thoughts together. I like the way you react to that. Get a meeting, dazzle them. Either have you get that job right directly, or maybe they have to construct the job, or maybe, gosh forbid, they maybe even have to kick someone to the curb. I don't want to cost someone else their job, but you know what? Too bad, so sad for them. If they have that spot and they're not delivering, you need that spot. Let's go get it. So connect with people. After we have this list, we're going to warm up the 25 to 30 individuals, up the food chain, down the food chain, left, right. Every single person that you would likely ever have contact with will be part of this audience that becomes aware of you. Those are also the people that are likely feeling pain by not having you in that spot. Oh, look at this person. We could have this person. Connect with them. Make sure that you don't get ruled out. Send them the basic message you write one time ever. Let them have the epiphany that you are the one, versus this desire that, oh, I have to tell you I'm the one. I'm the one. Confident people are a little more confident than that. So trust that when they see you and there is a painful need, they will forward your resume. And if you're doing 25 to 30, you have enough people doing it that there's a little bit of a chatter behind the scenes about you. Everything I'm describing, by the way, is about acquiring knowledge. Why would you acquire knowledge about the companies in your field, the people in your field, the challenges within your field? What, all to forget it or throw it away once you land this new job? What you really need to do is save this information for the future. You can download all these forms over on my website, selfrecruiter.com. Under the advice tab, just look for the job search management system. It's all free. You can just download it. But you need to capture this information, and also even the forms will help you manage your outreach. What comes next? What did I forget to do? What else could I do? Because the whole thing's a sales process that we have to repeat. It's not simply, I have to get all my energy up to do this one thing today. I have to do it like breathing every day, because small changes change perception and really change everything. Which also means our script has to change. Probably a few things about our past might have to change as well. I hope you've updated your resume and LinkedIn to reflect the new world. We are, at least from the white collar working perspective, we are much more remote now, 60 to 70%, than we ever were previously. And no matter how much those companies want to go back to the office, oh, let's go back to the office. It's like, yeah, when it's safe, which is not anytime soon. So they'll keep ruffling feathers and try to make those things. But until we get past this, you're going to have to be seen as effective remotely. And if you haven't worked remotely, you have to think about changing how you talk about your story, or maybe you've done things like speaking and teaching at a distance, or doing conferences or webinars or conference calls. All these various aspects are another way of saying I can be effective at a distance. By the way, if you haven't been working remotely in the last year and a half, we're also going to have to get ourselves up to very quick speed on the technology platforms that everyone now is using, like breathing. And that also means you're going to have to get comfortable not looking at your screen, but instead looking up to the camera. The camera is what you look at. Be sure to watch my interview intervention lecture and video interview techniques. And the last 5 minutes of that video is all on correct, optimum camera and interviewing setup. So who is it that makes these decisions, and not just the decider? We got to get to all the influencers as well. We have to really control thought about you and have people see you as the potential solution for all their various challenges. I think pretty simple here. I do want you to think about the fact that unless you'd like to work within HR, your decision maker is not within HR. HR only hires HR folks. They facilitate the rest of the actions, but they don't only hire HR folks. So in my view, you're much better off. If this is a good job, decent job, that's 1,000 to 2,000 resumes being sent in. Not 1,000 to 2,000 qualified people. 95% of the resumes are not right for this job. Why did you send this in to me? A lot of reasons. But that goes to HR or outside recruiter even, and all of them, internal HR or outside recruiter, statistically are juggling 10 open positions at the same time. They have all this stuff that they're doing, and they don't really understand your background. Would you like to compete with 1,000 to 2,000 people, or would you rather compete with 15 people? Maybe there's 10 or 15 people that are brave enough, have the backbone to go right to the decision maker. I'd rather compete with those folks. So let's think in terms of the boss's boss, everybody else. How do we get to these folks? Well, I think you know how your departments are structured. We don't have to go too far into that. Don't be afraid, though, of going to 2 or 3 levels above your boss. That person is not afraid of you. They think of you as a potential strategic asset, and begin to capture all this knowledge that you're building, because all of these people are going to move around either in your industry or maybe even go to a different industry. You might like to follow them too. Other ways to find people besides reverse searching LinkedIn, which we'll talk a lot about. Name mentions. So I hope you're reading your trade magazines and websites and all those other things, press releases, company websites. So the name mention is going to go a long way toward finding people who need to reach out to. Referrals. If you're doing enough outreach, you're going to get an awful lot of, I just filled this role. Okay. They're not going to hire me today. What else can I get? My gosh, I could get a referral from this person to other people within the industry. So I have to really work conversation to get referrals. That could really help me. If I impress them, they probably want to connect me pretty quickly. Of course, the bulk of it will be using LinkedIn. Typical org chart. We're going to reverse search, and we're going to really look through the results window to kind of build out this list of people to go after. Let's just take you through that longer version of it right over in my LinkedIn lecture. Unified search box, top of any window. It's all the same. It doesn't matter which page you're on. In this example, I'm searching Informatica. Big database middleware company. I used to make a lot of placements with them. But when I start to type it, I get this drop-down menu. Oh my gosh, don't click on that. Don't click on that. That's a trip down the rabbit hole. Simply type what you'd like, hit enter, you get this nice secondary sorting process. Now, I am here to discover what works in Informatica, rebuild that org chart. But let's not forget, there must be other similar organizations that I am somehow unaware of that would also love to hire me. So as long as I'm here doing research, I should look up companies. What do we have? What do we have? 34,000 companies, a lot of companies. Let's think about this. This is all in the free version of LinkedIn, by the way. Everything I'm showing you can do on the free version. 34,000 companies. Who are the rest of those after you get to the Informatica ones? Everyone down in that list, because it used to be one of my fields, they're all system integrators. They either resell or install Informatica software. If I am statistically right to work for Informatica, I'm very likely statistically right to work for a great number of these companies down this list. Alternate method to build statistically perfect lists. You could take every employer you've ever worked with. And even though you're scratching your head going, why is this not on the list? I don't know, but I bet you they'd love to hire your background. Go and introduce yourself. Then we have to get to real people. So we go over to the people. What do we get? 2.5 million. Not getting through that one on the free version. We're going to have to put our thinking cap on, problem solving. Show me the ones really in the US. I don't need them all over the world. And also, you know what? I need them currently working for Informatica, not like 3 years ago working for Informatica. That should help me quite a bit. And what do I get? 1,615 results. I love it. I love getting there. But I can't look at 1,600 people either. Who's going to hire me? Maybe it's a VP. Even on the free version, simple VP search, really US, really Informatica. 75 VPs, a lot of chiefs. Or maybe it's a director. Director. Let's see. Really US, really Informatica. 225 directors. No, I'm going the wrong way. No, I have it. You know why? Because it's a problem solving. That's what we have to do. All of this is problem solving, brainstorming. Now I realize it's a sales director I'm looking for. And why am I looking everywhere? It should really be right down in the greater New York City area, even on the free version. And what do I get? 3. Fantastic. You know what I'm looking for, though, is 3 to 5. 3 is great. That's the minimum. But if I found 5, my odds go up. So let's think about this. Maybe there's a sales VP. Maybe I'm missing a sales VP, really in the New York City area, currently working for Informatica. What do I get? Oh, 2. Now I have 5. I have 5 people all together. Fantastic. I'm going to reach out to each one of these folks and introduce myself. But along the way, I might get frustrated by this send in mail. I like to connect. I love to connect with people. But this send in mail. First off, do we understand what in-mail is? Spam. Literal definition of spam. It is paid email. Please do not send it. My inbox on LinkedIn is jam-packed with over 1,000 unopened messages of nonsense, clogging up the entire system, causing me to miss some really good messages. So I do want to connect with Nick. Just load his profile. They'll frustrate you again, but hit those ... and you'll realize they just hit the little connect button. Just that, they'll never find the connect button over here. There it is. Hit connect. Copy and paste that one-time message. Send it off. Don't wait for the answer. Log everything you've learned into your form so you can keep acquiring knowledge. Remember, your outreach is about them before it's ever about you. So when I reach out, I'm not going to say this. Hi, this is John. I'd like to hire me. How'd you get my number? Take me off your list. Never call me again. I hate you people. Okay. Well, you probably deserve that comment if this is what we said. It's a date, which means it's not about you. It's about them, even though it really is about you. It's about them. That means value in every single word can open doors. And if there's no value, we're going to end up in a very ugly place very quickly. Your job is to be persuasive. You have about 30 seconds of grace. I'll give you 30 seconds before I'm going to go, how'd you get my number? Take me off your list. Never call me again. That's 30 seconds to begin to deliver your value, to begin to tell me that you understand it's about me and my company, not you. Let me take you through the script itself. Now, you're not going to write it right now, but when you do write it, all this text on the left, remember, this is all part of the forms, job search management forms. You can download right from my advice tab on my Self-Recruiter website. And so what's on the left here, the text will all help you as you write it out, remind you of what I'm teaching you right now. Let me just take you through the breakdown. Let me get a little sip. So I'm going to greet them. I'm going to wait for the response. I'm going to acknowledge the response. I can't pretend good, bad, or ugly I didn't hear it. Now, if I went to one of those schools, there's only about this many. Oh my gosh, you went to one of those schools? You mentioned it. You didn't go to one of those schools? I don't care how great your school is. That's not what the sell piece is right now. Go right to 2 or 3 key things about your background, deliverables, something what you did for your last employer, something that would make them jump out of their chair. Get them in here, get them on the phone. Oh, I have to speak with this person. And then close them, which is a scary sales term. Simply means ask for what you'd like, which is not closing, and ask for agreement to it. Requires both halves to actually be closing. Let me let you hear this all at once. And I'm going to call a manager that's having a bad day so you understand what you have to do. The good day, I'm sure you can figure out on your own. Hey, good morning, Jack. It's John Crant. How are you this morning? I'm terrible. Well, Jack, let's see if we can change that. You know, the reason I had to reach out to you, I'm just so excited by what I see going on at XYZ company. Oh, yeah, and I saw the Wall Street Journal article on your new such and such launch. Oh, those things are always so good to get. When I was back with ABC Company, all you have to do to get an interview is have a carrot that's valuable. When I was back at ABC Company, I handled a very similar launch. I'd love to come in and share with you how we tackled all of those issues I bet your team's experiencing. That could be valuable to me. Then you have to be brave enough to go for the jugular. I have an opening on my calendar. Your words are very, very important. I would open on my calendar Tuesday at 10 a.m. Might that work for a brief meeting? There we go. I just handed off control to them. Might that work for a brief meeting? Yes, they feel in control now, as if there was really any control. Really, all I did was take the wind out of their biggest concern, which is don't waste my time. Oh, brief meeting. I can handle that. Work on your script and make it very, very effective. If you don't get what you want, because sometimes they just hired someone. If they just hired someone, are you thinking like a detective yet? Where did that person come from? There's an open job over there. And now you know who this person is. You know their exact background. You know exactly what they had in that open job, which will make it much easier for you to sell yourself to that open job. It's about a laundry list, following this string wherever it may take you. As you get to the end of what you can extract from that conversation, then you can maybe pitch for a relationship. Now, when I was taught this as a recruiter, at first I thought it was complete hogwash. I don't know what else to say other than swear words beyond that, but I thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This is something real. You expect me to do this? I'm going to ask them for a relationship agreement. And then I tried it and I realized how well it works. But no, I can't. Can I call you back to bother you? No, take me off your list. Never call me again. So here's how it reads and here's how it looks. Jack, from time to time, I'll run into something, some interesting situation when speaking with others in the industry. Do you realize that the managers that you speak with are stuck in a bubble, putting out fires all day long? You think they have their finger on the pulse of the industry. They have their finger on the pulse of what's going on in that company. Rarely do they have their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry because they're too busy trying to solve today's fires. So having an opportunity to have an interesting situation run by them that was brought up by other industry professionals, that's enticing. Also, I believe we don't get enough chances in life to be helpful or get brownie points. So if you just give people an opportunity to help themselves while helping you, I think they'll do it quite often. Pick it up again. It'd be helpful to run a scenario by you. I love scenarios. Love scenarios. Would it be okay if I gave you a call for your opinion or your advice if something interesting were to come up in discussions? Oh, me? You want to call me back? By the way, never ever got turned down for this. I thought it was such nonsense. But boy, it bonds people much tighter to you. Now, are you actually going to ever call this person back for this? Possibly, but not statistically likely. But going through this exercise gets them to remember you and gets them to bond with you a little bit more and remember more about your background in case some other opportunity does come up. Now, don't burn out your assets. So the point is not to call them back unless you're going to spend that capital for something to learn something. So build trust, build rapport, sow your seeds of value. Don't burn out your assets by overcalling them or any of that. But do think as you get to the end of any call in your job search, because we're on a fishing expedition, essentially, what can I get from this call? What can I say? What can I leave them thinking? What are they thinking of me? What else can I do? And I sure hope they have the right view of your skills after this discussion. Maybe even stroke their ego one more time and put them in your shoes looking out of your eyes. Jack, I know with your background and position within the industry, you must hear things. Who do you know that's hiring right now? Or Jack, with your background and position within the industry, what am I missing? Where would you look? I'd look at XYZ company. Why didn't they say that before? It's not their job to think of companies to tell me to go to. It's your job to cause them to think of companies to tell you to go to. That's effective networking, small little mental nudges to move the discussion forward. To recap, simple, basic job search steps. Step away from all this endless focus on postings itself. That's simply a lead that can help you. Choose the company or organizations. Go after the 25 to 30 people to warm up the audience. Ask them to connect. Don't wait for the answer. Email the 3, 4, 5 decision makers. Engage them in conversation. In case anyone does have a question about that, absolutely, I'm offering all 325 people the same Tuesday at 10 a.m. Statistically, you'll never have an issue, but if you ever have an issue where both of them accept or multiple people accept, that'll be the best problem you've ever had. Little focus on the system. Remember, you've got to have some daily or weekly plan beyond just good nature. I'm going to do a great job this week. So think about how you're going to structure your whole day of planning, remembering your goals, testing your things at the end of the day. Let me just take you through the full system so you have it in front of you. All these pieces you can download. They're all free. So I'm not going to take you through the individual forms, but I do just want to show you the forms. This particular one, though, I do want to just go over the goals. The rest, we're just going to give you a quick peek at them. The first one is where you set your actual goals. And these things are tough. Number of companies I might call every week. Those are brand new companies you've never called before. In addition to all the companies you have to call back, that's something else. Number of emails outbound to managers. Number of calls, maybe that's 0 because we're not calling. Are we brave enough to make one call next week? Maybe we'll get one call next week. Of course, I have to understand which ones are going directly to decision makers or managers, which ones are really going to HR, which I really want to avoid as much of that as possible. And out of all that activity every single week, the number I can kid myself most about, number of meaningful conversations. What was meaningful to me? Let me be clear. Did you, good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. Did you extract something from this discussion that can make your life easier next time? Is it something actionable? Is it a new name? Is it a new idea? That was a meaningful call. Top of this form, you sit down every Friday and have an epiphany moment where you're going to have to use some fluorescent light of honesty. Capture your numbers, even if it's a goose egg. Track these numbers over the course of 8 weeks. You'll have a markedly different outcome. The rest of the forms are all pretty simple. We're not going to go into them, but do look at them yourself. Track the job opportunities, the interviewing and networking strategy each have own forms. Resumes you send out. It was worth that time and investment, but it's not worth the follow-up. Yes, have to do all of that. And of course, a calling strategy sheet as well. And that's in addition to the script one we showed you earlier. That is how you begin to supercharge your job search. Don't get stuck only looking at job postings. That's one singular avenue that could deliver what's coming next for you. Make sure wherever you are in your process, this is the hard part. This is the actual homework, reaching out to decision makers, understanding why you're excited about those companies. But the more you can get this to a process that is simply a repeatable process, repeat, you'll be in a much, much better place. Well, thank you guys for joining in for Supercharging Your Job Search. Very special lecture coming up this Friday for the New York Public Library. I have that up on my Self-Recruiter website. Do check it out. A couple more lectures ahead before that. And then I'm off next week, but I will have my lectures for later in the month posted in the next couple days. If you need help elevating your career brand or navigating your next interview, I think you know where to find me, selfrecruiter.com. Just click on the services tab. You'll have all my packages to consider, and we'll see you guys a little bit later. Thank you for joining in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, share it with a friend, comment, all that stuff. Greatly appreciate it. Take care.